Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. My name is Joseph James. Welcome to our live trading recap, December 3rd, 2010. Guys, we're making our way through the first week of the last month of the year. Another great day in the room today, but we had, of course, a little bit of a challenge today. Friday mornings are always a little bit hit or miss. We had non-farm payrolls this morning, and of course, we'll talk about that here in a moment. Before we go over the trades we took today, though, I want to remind you guys of our blog. Our blog has all kinds of great stuff on it. Search box, right? That search box in the blog, you could search for any topic you want, right? Search for range charts, search for trade management, search for dollar index correlation, right? So use that search box to search for specific topics you want to know more about. Now remember, almost every question you've got as a guest in our live trade room can be answered under trade room resources. So if you're in the trade room and you're wondering as a guest, right, what are all these numbers flying all over the place, right? Well, you can probably find the answer there under trade room resources. Now, of course, all the specifics about how we trade are in the advanced course, but under trade room resources, right at the top of this blog, you'll see lots of great overviews of what we use in the live trade room, right? Perfect for guests that are part of our 3-week trial. All right, guys, don't forget, check out the blog, use the blog, guys. Lots of great stuff on the blog. And let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 total trades today. Now, today was one of those days where we expected to get this big move at 8:30. So you'll notice from 8:30 till 9:30, I overtraded this market. All right, I'll be the first to admit, right? Guilty as charged. Overtraded the market. I honestly expected to see a lot more than we saw this morning. Non-farm payrolls are a big news event for us, and usually on Friday mornings we get after 8:30, we get these big dramatic moves. So, you know, to be completely honest with you, I'm going to get into more trades after 8:30 than I probably normally would because I'm expecting that big move. All right? So I'm expecting a fastball right down the plate. Right? So I'm swinging hard right at those trades. Okay, we're trying to get that big move because we know I may get a couple little scratches, but one of those big trades will be that big +5, +10, +55. All right? If you guys have been with us, that's usually what happens on non-farm payroll. We usually have about an hour and a half after the news event where, you know, we get a little bit choppy price action, but then there's this big move, right? That's usually what happens. And usually we're pretty good at grabbing that. So that's why you'll see here, right, I was swinging for the fences here the first, you know, hour of the market. And obviously I completely overtraded it, right? So my broker made probably half of this, you know, giving back to my broker this morning. All right, now this morning, again, did not get that big move, but we were expecting it. So what did we see? We saw all of these little tiny, right, +5 scratches, right, +5, +10 bounced out, right? We didn't take any losses today, okay, which is a good thing. That was one thing we didn't have. We didn't have any losses that just kind of, you know, tore our head off. There was nothing that we didn't make any mistakes today in that sense. Okay, but the problem was it felt like we were taking losses because every time we got into a trade, it gave us our +5, right? Move our stop up and price comes back down, right? It would go +5, we leave our stop at -5, it'd go +5, then -5 and be a scratch. So we couldn't get the market to move, right? It kept getting started. It was like watching the engine, right? Cha-chung, 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 right? It couldn't get going. I wanted to hear that engine going, cha-chung, cha-chung, vroom, vroom, right? I want to hear that thing, right, start to move. So we didn't get it going this morning. That was a little bit of what the first initial frustration was. Then at the end of the morning, things started really slowing down, right? Took that loss on gold. But you'll see we made 200 ticks today. Not a bad day at all. But look at how we did it though, right? If you look at the stops, right, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 out of these dozen trades were +5, -5s, right? So we got the first target filled, but then because price was chopping around so much, +5 and then -5. All right, so no real move there. We get the big buyers, we get the momentum, we get the confirmation get in, but we don't see any follow through. Right? Cha-chunk, 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 right? The engine's flooded. It's having a hard time turning over, right, and running. Okay, so we weren't seeing those big moves. So when you were trading this morning, and of course I've talked to you guys about this morning, when I was trading this morning, I started getting frustrated, right? My emotions started to bleed into my trading because I'm going, man, we're seeing lots of great patterns, pattern after pattern after pattern, but it's not going anywhere, right? We're seeing these 1 or 2 tick new highs, and it's now pulling back off those highs. 1 or 2 tick new lower lows, then it bounces back off those lows. All right, guys? So it was a frustrating day, but I think it was more frustrating just because we were really expecting to have a nice, easy first couple hours of the day, make our money, and then get out of here and enjoy the weekend, right? I think that was where most of my frustration came from. I'm sitting here going, hey, what's going on here? We're supposed to be up by $6,000 by now, right? We were supposed to be up by a big amount of money at 9 o'clock, and we didn't get it. All right. Then at the end of the morning, things start slowing down, and we had to make a decision, right? This is a really tough decision this morning. On a Friday morning at 10:30, what do I do? Right? What do? Do I keep trading 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30? Because we know, right, European close 11:30, we know we might get that big move at the end of the morning. But wait a second, it's also a Friday, right? I may not get anything at the end of the morning. Okay, so it was tough. Around 10:30 this morning, we had everything going flat, very, very concerned now about what to do the rest of the morning, right? Do I hang it up and go enjoy my weekend, right? It's 10:30, it's been a frustrating day so far. Or do I wait patiently, right, sit on my hands and see what happens later on in the morning? Okay, so that was a challenge this morning. We had a disappointing first hour and a half, and then of course after 10:30 it's just dead, right? Dead markets. And so do we hang it up early, or do we be patient and wait for the rest of the morning? Now, of course, I'm here in the room with you guys. I waited to see what 11:30 looked like. Okay, but that was a kind of a tough transition there after the U.S. Open, after 10 o'clock this morning. We didn't know, should we keep going or should we stop, right? Because we didn't see the 8:30 news, the 10 o'clock news, the 9:30 Open, right? Cha-chunk, 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 right? It couldn't get going today, all right? That brings us to $4,000 for the week. We did 32 ticks for the first day of the month, right? 1,400 yesterday, and then 2,360 today. That brings us now over 232,000 guys here for the year so far. All right, guys. So again, we had non-farm payrolls at 8:30, right? News came out bearish for the dollar, but the market reacted with confusion. Okay, we didn't get that big ba-boom after that news event came out. All right, and I'll be honest, I overtraded the news today looking for that big move. Right? I was expecting to see that big home run trade, right? So of course, I'm swinging at everything that comes down the pipe the first hour of the day. Okay? Learn from this, right? Learn from this. If you're taking notes right now, right, the note you want to make is don't overtrade the news, right? Don't trade what you think, trade what you see. All right? So learn from my mistakes today. But as you guys saw though, nickels and dimes, right? They all add up. We didn't take any big losses today, but we didn't have any big winners either, right? And that's why it was a frustrating day, but still, of course, we came out in the green in the end. Now, here's the dollar. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes here. Here's my dollar index. Now, my dollar index, right, very important for me because I use my dollar as a correlation. Now, look at what the dollar's doing here. The yellow lines, right, are a long-term price channel. Okay? Yellow lines, long-term price channel. Blue lines, right? The blue lines, these are the short-term price channel, right? The blue lines here, short-term price channel. So wait a second, where are we? We're at the lows of both, right? The lows of the long-term bullish channel and the lows of the short-term bearish channel. Okay, so what's a trader to do? Well, naturally, we wanted to buy these lows. Well, of course, this is the dollar, so we're not going to buy anything. But the dollar, well, we expected the dollar, right, at these lows down here, right, to begin to rise back up. However, we knew, though, we had news at 8:30. And after 8:30 news, which came out bearish for the dollar, right, we had a lot higher than expected jobless claims yesterday, right? This morning, the non-farm payrolls came in significantly lower than expected, right? Which means jobless claims were higher yesterday, non-farm payrolls came out lower than expected, and then you had, what was it, factory orders also came out lower than expected. So what ended up happening was that was bearish for the dollar. The dollar came down and then went sideways and kept chopping down, right, tick by tick, and it kept making this one tick new lower low, right? The same thing that gold and crude did as it came down today.